Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you guys doing today? Hey, Kamalesh, good to see you. Are you the same Kamalesh?
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you. So, okay, great. So let me admit a few more people. And it would be good that if you can turn on your cameras because face-to-face communication is even better. But in case you cannot, it's up to you. But I will highly encourage you guys to turn on your cameras because in this way I can see that who is getting my lecture and who is not quite getting it, and I should ask question or should I repeat the stuff or things like that, right? So those who are in my classes before this time, they already know me and they know that I want to have an interactive session, and which is definitely more possible if you turn on your camera. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, here it goes. Who is this free soul? Okay, Kamalesh, good to see you. Okay, great. So Menthan, okay, right. Okay, okay. Menthan, you are the same guy. Okay, you have been in my classes before also, Menthan. I think so, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. I've taken
Okay,
your.
good to see you. Good to see you back. Okay, great. So let me see who is this. Sign up. Okay, great. Okay. So let's start our today's lecture with my introduction. So my name is Muhammad Aurangzeb. You can definitely call me Dr. Zeb, as you guys probably know already. And I'm your instructor for this class. And I'm very happy to teach you this class. And I've been web designing for the past 5-6 years now. And I'm very excited to teach you this course. Probably I'm teaching this course, I don't know for after how many times, but definitely I'm very excited to teach this course to you. Um, about the lectures, the deal is that as you guys already know me, that whenever you have an issue with the lecture, wherever you're not understanding anything, just ask me the question, right? I don't guarantee that I would be able to answer all your questions, but definitely you can ask, right? And I can give it a try. So, but the deal is that, whenever you ask me questions, definitely it is more often positive, right? It would never be negative for you, right? So if you have ask any question, I will not take anything negative against you. Hey, this man does not even know this thing. No, nothing like that, right? So, but if you will ask questions and probably there will be good questions, then you would be rewarded for asking such questions because my lectures actually progress as you ask questions, right? So basically, at certain point in my lecture, I would be expecting a question from a student, and if you will not ask that question, I have to pose that question myself and then give its answer, and it is a twofold process, then it wastes time. So it would be better if you can ask questions to me, and I would be able to answer them, right? So this is how I believe that I would be running this class. So once again, don't hesitate, don't feel shy in asking questions. Wherever you have a question, just ask it, right? So Cambridge, do you think that I mean this thing, whatever I have said?
Sir,
Do you think?
we will ask definitely questions while we have an intro.
But do you think that it is always positive to ask me questions, or sometime it may becomes negative also?
No, sir, it is positive only because I have already been to your class in last semester. Even I used to ask
I hope
questions.
that the other students will also understand this thing. So Kavalesh, first of all, how did you get this nice haircut, by the way?
So, frankly speaking, I only did, sir.
Wonderful. So because all of us are growing hairs like anybody, right? So I was thinking to get a haircut, but could not go to a salon just because of fears. Stay safe, guys. Okay. So this is a good idea that you cut it by yourself. Okay. Okay. So about the syllabus, let me share your syllabus with you guys. Um, hmm. Okay, yeah, here it is. Right. Okay, you cannot see my screen yet, so let me share my screen with you first. So, and I have sent you this syllabus like a few minutes ago, right? Okay. So here you go. So this is your syllabus. Uh, I would be covering these technologies in this course: HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, which is latest version of JavaScript, ECMAScript 2020, and then I would I will go deal with the server end, and at the server end this time I'm in a mood to teach you Node.js instead of PHP. So if you like, I can switch to Node.js, but that time will come after a few weeks, right? So maybe we'll be studying PHP as a server-side language and MySQL as the database, or if I like to, I can, or you agree with me, I will switch to Node.js, right?
The introduction or little introduction to Node.js would be really helpful.
I think so, yeah. So I think that Node would be there for sure, whether we explore it up to the full extent or not. But I will definitely like to do it. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, great. Okay. And this is where I'm located, but not these days, right? So, but you can always reach me through these Zoom meetings, right? And you would be having your office hours just after this lecture, right? So whosoever wants to have office hours or have me for office hours, they should just stay in this lecture and I will give them individual attention, whatever the issue they have, we will discuss it, right? Or you can have, you can send me an email, right? And we can have office hours like 30 minutes before this start of this class, right? So basically, but I would prefer that if you can stay in this class right after this lecture, right? So in this way, it would be easy for you to be in office hours also, okay? So some mistakes, about class time typos, are there. And so basically these are some materials which are required, etc., etc., right? And some stuff I would be covering. I think that I'm going to take two exams, one in the mid of the semester, one towards the end, and then there is any project or assignments or something like that, right? Class participation, it will carry the rest of the things, right? Okay, guys, any question about it? Okay, uh, look, these two grades, A grade or B grade, I take them as good grades, right? So if I give you A grade or B grade, it means that I have given you a good grade, right? Uh, don't be very much grade hungry that I'm going to get every A possible in the world, right? So because sometimes, it makes you counter, knowledge hungry, right? So sometimes, you go after so much after grades that, then you become knowledge hungry, right? So if I look into a transcript, if I see all A grades, I become a little bit skeptical about it, right? That, hey, why all A grades, right? So is this guy totally grade hungry, right? Whereas if I see, most of A grades and a few B grades also here and there, I love it really, right? I don't like to see any C grade in the transcript for sure, right? But A and B grades are good grades. And to get A grade or B grade with me is very easy stuff, right? You attend all my lectures, right? You interact with me, ask questions, right? And as you interact with me, just establish this thing with me that you know coding, because this course is all about coding, right? So if you establish this thing with me that you know coding, right, or you can code for me, right, I am going to give you A grade, no matter what do you do. Very simple, right? So just, you have to establish this thing with me that you know coding, right? I'm going to give you A grade, right? And I will tell you that, hey, that guy, I have, I have got it that you know coding and I'm going to give you A grade, right? So this is simple recipe. So the deal is that this course can earn you a good job. If you do this course with enthusiasm, and zeal, that definitely this course can get you a good job, decent job at least, right? So learn this code very well, right? So there is no, you know, formula to teach you coding, right? It is not possible for me to, you know, to make a, you know, some kind of majun, right? Or something like that, you know, some pill, and I asked you to swallow that pill and hey man, you have learned coding, right? So this is not going to happen, right? You can learn coding by doing it. You cannot learn coding without dipping your fingers into the dirt of coding, right? So this is very important thing, right? So definitely as I would be teaching, right? So I hope that you would be absorbing all the lecture. If you are not, then definitely you must ask questions, right? Whatsoever is covered during the class must be absorbed within the class, right? And there would be other stuff to do after the class for sure, right? So basically, you know, don't leave anything for later, whatsoever is being covered in the class, right? So whatever is being covered in the class, just, you know, try to grasp it its in entirety, you know, within the class, right? Don't let it like that I would learn it tomorrow, or I will learn it later on, I will ask, or maybe I will go and watch a YouTube video, right? So definitely, you know, YouTube videos are good, right? And sometimes I also watch them, right? Say for example, I'm not quite getting anything, or maybe I'm not familiar with some new technology and I need to get it, right? Definitely I watch them, right? And they're helpful. But the deal is that once you have an instructor available who is willing to teach you, right? And you are at liberty to ask questions to him, take advantage of this facility also, right? This is like better than recorded or pre-recorded video. And the recording of these videos will also be available to you, right? So ask questions and do a lot of coding and hopefully you will learn, right? Are you, you know, enthusiastic about it that you are going to learn coding, right? And this is the hottest area, the web application design, and you know we are going to do it. Okay. So okay, let's review this entire syllabus first, and then we'll talk about various other things. Okay, so these are a few things which we'll be covering, right? So don't worry about it. So let me show you how I'm planning to cover. Okay, let me show you later on. Okay, I'm sorry for this white space, you know. Okay, if somebody needs some special, you know, resources, or you know, some disability issues, right? They can just privately see me, right? I would not record any such meeting. I would not disclose any such requirement to any other person, right? And I will try my best to provide that accommodation to that person, right? So if you need some special accommodation, do let me know. Don't cheat, right? Cheating is not good for you. Maybe cheating might get a good grade for you, but in the end you would not be able to learn. And definitely by cheating you would not be able to get A grade, because A grade is for only those people who will establish this thing with me that they know coding, and that cannot be established by submitting an assignment, right? That can be established by doing coding with me, right? So as I code, you know, and I would be doing live coding, and I expect you guys also that sometimes I'm going to give you some live coding homework, right? Or classwork, you can say, and you will do it, and hopefully, you know, you will learn coding. So look, I can understand, you know, students are not rich. Students are basically poor. So sometimes you need to get jobs, do jobs. Definitely you can go and do jobs, right? But you know, don't stop paying attention to your studies, because that is, you know, a small amount of money they are paying, like $10 or maybe $12 an hour, right? But if you get a good developer job, they are going to pay you at least $50 an hour, right? So, and this is your chance to learn coding, my dears, right? So this is very important that you pay attention to these classes, right? So don't cheat, please. Okay, and read all these repercussions about it. And if you think that somebody is harassing you, or somebody is harassing someone else, or you think that your instructor is unfair or harassing you, or somebody else, you have this not only this privilege but this responsibility to bring such incident into the notice of university authorities. Those authorities may include your instructor, the chair of the department, the dean, and the central office. Right, so this was a little bit about the syllabus and course outline. Any question about it? Any question about it?
No, sir.
No question. So as you guys already know this thing, that this class is about coding. So for coding I would be using some editor. So if you want, you can use Visual Studio Code, right? Sometimes I use Visual Studio Code, especially when I am working with Angular or I'm working with Ionic, right? I use Visual Studio Code, right? But I don't like to use Visual Studio Code for small things, especially for teaching, because sometimes, Visual Studio Code starts giving some issues to the students, right? And it involves a little bit of learning curve. So mostly I would be using Atom for you guys, right? So mostly I would be using Atom for your class. But if you want, if we use Studio Code, you can definitely use it. It is a superior environment, right? Okay. But I think that it would be a little bit of overkill with our class, right? So in Visual Studio Code, I have already made a folder for you, and the name of the folder is Web Programming Web Programming Summer 2020, right? Web Programming Summer 2020. And here I'm going to create my first file, and let me name it first.html, right? So basically a static web page, as we will be making lot many web pages in this class, right? A static web page extension should be .htm or .html, right? Because basically a web page is written in a language with the name HTML, right? So we enter this. So this is your first file. And as I was saying that this file is written in HTML. So if you just write HT and press tab, so this is the basic scaffold of your HTML file, right? So instead of typing it all by yourself, this is like autofill function of Atom, right? We have used it, and this basic scaffold is created. So let me show you this basic scaffold, what it is. So first of all, it has this doc type HTML. It is telling that this document is written in HTML5, right? So this means that this document is written or is being written in HTML5, right? And then this is the HTML tag, right? So HTML tag. So HTML stands for hypertext markup language, right? So basically what happens is that you write text, and that text is marked up, right? So that various parts of the text are given various meanings, right? Some part of the text would be paragraph, some part of the text would be heading, some part of the text would be a span, some part of the text would be a foot, right? So basically, and this marking up process is done with the help of various tags, right? So basically this tag, this is the biggest tag you can say, or this is the tag which actually covers your entire HTML document, right? This is HTML tag, right? By the way, let me ask a few quick questions, right? How many of you uh, can you see in your console over there somewhere? Can you raise hands? Can you see that thing, that feature where that hand is there? No? Okay, I think that I need to pose a question sometimes, these various, portals also have a little bit of learning curve involved, and sometimes we don't explore it up to big extent, right? I think that I come here. Can somebody see that raise hand feature, please? Okay, let's don't use it, right? Don't worry. So just tell me that, okay, before I go into this class further, why don't we have a little bit of introduction from you guys also, right? Because, we don't see each other personally. So maybe you might not be knowing each other. So let's have a little bit of introduction. So for example, I have introduced myself already. So, and as you'll introduce yourself, you'll also tell that how much do you know about HTML, and don't feel shy. This is a small group. Nobody is having time to know, hey, Camilesh does not even know HTML. Don't worry about it, okay? So otherwise I have to call for an anonymous survey and things like this. And I believe that these things are very much counterproductive, right? So don't feel shy. You're here in this class because you don't know these things, right? Had you known to these things, right, you might not have been in this class, right? So you'll just tell that, do you know HTML? How much do you know CSS? How much do you know JavaScript? How much do you know about server-side coding, right? So Kamilesh, let me start from you.
Yes, sir. I know the basics of HTML and also basics of CSS. I have touch of this JavaScript and PHP and server side
Okay,
coding.
great. What about JavaScript?
I don't know, sir.
Okay, very good. Honest opinion, right? So basically it will tell me that, hey, how should I take a start in JavaScript, for example, right? It would remain in the back of my head that, how should I proceed with this class, right? So Sanket, would you like to introduce?
Yes, good afternoon, sir. First of all, good to see you.
Same
Uh,
here.
yeah. So I have good knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I have built small projects. Uh, I have also used Bootstrap
Very
to
good.
develop single page applications. Basically, my expectation from this course is to build new projects so that I can brush up my skills.
Very good.
I would love to learn Node.js from this class. That
Very good.
would just add up to my skills. Yes, that's it.
Great. What about PHP?
Yes, I
Do
have
you know
done
PHP?
no, just a few. Not many projects, just a few projects like
Okay.
static applications. I built static applications using PHP.
Okay. Okay. Great. Good. Okay, Menthan.
Yes, sir. I have some working experience in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but I never worked in PHP.
Okay. What about Node.js?
No, sir.
Okay.
In the
Okay. Great.
backend, I have experience in Java.
Good. Okay.
Mainly
Prithvi.
my expectation is
Sorry.
how to increase scalability of web application. How to
Okay. Very good.
like
So definitely, you are going to learn a lot, and I would be going to, definitely we need to start from HTML just in case, right? And but we would be progressing very fast, right? So don't worry about it. But definitely, there is no compromise for your understanding, right? So my speed is second, right? But your understanding is the top priority, right? So wherever you feel that I'm speeding up quite a bit, you can just ask questions. Hey, Dr. Zeb, not quite getting it, right? What is this happening, right? So I don't mind, right? I will slow down. So if you think that I need to slow down, so the best way is to ask questions, right? That way I would be knowing that, hey, I have missed a few things here and there, and I need to slow down and teach you, right? So Prithvi,
Good afternoon, Professor. Uh,
good afternoon.
Actually, I'm very new to the web programming courses. I just have a few very beginner knowledge of HTML and CSS. Other than that, I have no knowledge on web programming.
Yeah, it is going to definitely help, right? So I see that
Yes, sir.
mostly people are on the same level, and this is a nice level to start with, actually. And my understand, and if somebody behind the curtains, want to talk, they can also talk.
Hi, so I have a good knowledge about HTML, CSS, Angular JS, and JavaScript.
Very good.
I don't know. No, I don't know Bootstrap and Angular. Sorry, Node.js.
Okay, okay, okay. So very good, great. So definitely you would have also a lot of things to, learn in this in this course.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
hope so.
forward to learn Node.js.
Okay, okay. Maybe Node. Yeah, definitely. As I believe Sanket said that we need to at least cover a little bit of Node. I'm very positive that I would be covering Node and Express both in this course, right? So
That would be
I would
great.
love to.
Yeah.
Okay, and anybody else? Naresh? Hey, Naresh, you are the old Naresh or new Naresh? Okay, okay, it's good to see you also. Okay, great, awesome. So I was saying that, so this is the, biggest tag, you can say our parent most tag. And within this HTML, we have, you can see, we have head and body, right? And then within head, we have various, informative tags, nothing out of head is displayed on the screen. And then we have this body. And body is where, uh, we place the things which are really available on your web page, right? So for example, if I want to put a big heading on your web page, so that is H1, right? Heading 1, right? And we can say that what are we going to cover, right? So let's have this testing. So I would be using Firefox as a browser. Okay, and let me open this project. So I'm running a local host. So, and I'm going to come at it also in this very lecture. And as I said that I have made a folder for you. What was the name of the folder? Web programming, web programming summer 2020, right? And here, this is our first .html, right? So we are going to cover, right? So this is something I want to, just, share with you. So paragraph, so P for paragraph. So if, you think that you're not understanding something, just ask question, right? P for paragraph. And in this course, we are going to learn the following topics, right? So we have placed a line break here, but that line break would not be visible over here. So, and if you really want to give a line break, you can give a break, right? So if this break is here, you reload the page, right? You can see that break is here. Okay. By the way, as you all know that this is HTML tag, this is starting HTML tag, starting here, ending over here, right? And then within this HTML tag, we have this head tag, which is starting here, is ending over here. Then we have this body tag, which is starting here, is ending over here, right? So you can understand this thing that ending tag has this extra slash, right? And then we have this heading 1 tag starting here is ending over here, right? And then we have this paragraph tag starting over here and it's ending over here, right? So these are all various tags. These are all tags which are starting and ending, whereas this break BR is a tag which is self-closing tag. It starts and ends at that very moment, right? So we have various tags which are like self-closing tags. What other tag could be a self-closing tag? Anybody?
Break tag.
HR, for example, right? Horizontal rule, HR. This is also a self-closing tag. So if I put HR, so you can see this thing that there would be a horizontal line over here, right? So I'm just introducing this course, and alongside the introduction of this course, I'm also introducing you with some tags, right? But I'm not going to do this introduction of tags in any other lecture probably, right? So since this is the first lecture, I just want to make it sure that everybody knows at least a handful of them, right? Say for example, we want to make a list over here, right? So for example, we want to make a list of the things. Okay, let's do this thing. Yeah, we want to make a list over here that what we are going to cover. So that list can be made in an ordered way, ordered list, right? Ordered mean 1, 2, 3, and unordered mean tabs, right? So ordered list. So if I want to make an ordered list, it is OL ordered list tag, and within ordered list tag, I have li tag list item tags, right? So list item, so maybe I would say HTML5, right? Another list item, I would say CSS3, right? Another list item, I would say JavaScript, ECMAScript 5, right? Or ECMAScript 2020, now they call it 2020. 5 after 6, they have started calling it according to the years, right? Versions. And then we have list item, and we were going to learn PHP or Node.js, right? And then another list item, and we are going to learn MySQL, right? So let's see how does it look like after doing this thing, right? So you can see that this is an ordered list. So here you have HTML5, CSS3, etc., etc. These technologies are written, right? So let's have a nested list, right? So for example, in HTML5, we want to have an unordered list of something, that what topics in detail we are going to cover, right? So for example, in HTML5, we are going, so list item is, we are going to cover various tags. Another list item, we are going to cover attributes, right? We are going to cover layouts. We are going to cover ARIA roles, right? For example. And so let's see how does it look like now. So we go over here, and you can see that here, we have made a nice nested list, right? So, and definitely we are going to cover this thing, that how we are going to further format them. But right now I'm making a simple, this is the first day, and I'm making a simple HTML document for you, right? And let's see that what are we going to cover in CSS3, right? So again, we want to make a nested list. So go to CSS3, right? So break over there, and here maybe an unordered list. UL stands for unordered list, and in this CSS3, we are going to cover what? So who is going to tell me that what I'm going to cover in CSS3? Yes, anybody? Some people know CSS, I believe. So in CSS3, I'm going to cover
designing part.
designing. Okay, so I'm going to cover, okay, let me say, right, I'm going to cover selectors, right? I'm going to cover selectors, another list item, right? And I'm going to cover layouts, right? And then I'm going to cover transitions, right? So these are various things I'm going to cover in when I say layouts, for example, right? So say, for example, in layouts, let me make a further nested list, right? So layouts, in layouts, I would be covering display, right? I would be covering positioning. I would be covering grid. I would be covering flex, right? Little bit interesting for you guys, those who know CSS, right? So we would be covering quite a bit of CSS, right? So let's see, how does it look like over here, right? So you can see that we have made a further nested list, right? So I'm not covering I'm not touching everything we are going to cover. I'm like I have casually started building this page for you, right? Okay, so this is how we make lists, right? And we make nested lists, right? And I have covered both ordered list and unordered list, right? By the way, this thing over here, this part over here, what do we call them? Anybody? Anybody? So these things are called attributes, right? So can you see that what I have highlighted, right? These are called attributes, right? So attributes actually shape up that particular tag, right? For example, this is an attribute, lang is English, so this attribute is not quite shaping up anything. Basically, it is for the screen readers that, hey, the basic language is English, right? Otherwise, if you make it Hindi, it's not going to translate the page in Hindi, right? So this is not that much capable, right? So by here, you know that direction, dir is direction. So this is left to right. So if I write right to left, right, save it and reload the page, you can see that, you know, the structure of the page is now right to left, right? So basically this tag helps to build pages for those languages which are written from right to left, right? Like for example, Arabic, Persian, Urdu, they are famous languages which are written from right to left, right? So this tag, you can see that this attribute has changed the structure of the page from left to right to right to left, right? So basically this is the power of attributes, right? So attributes actually shape up that particular tag, right? And since this was the attribute of HTML, so it has shaped up the entire page, right? Because HTML actually covers the entire page. Anybody, any question? Okay, so having said this thing, going back over there in Atom, so let me revert it back, right? So this is left to right. So these are the various things we are going to cover. So next we write another H2 heading 2, and we say software require, right? So software requirements, what are the software requirements, right? Let me make another list, right? So for example, I say that this is an ordered list, right? And in this ordered list, I make a list item. And for example, the first thing we would need is a browser, right? I prefer Firefox. You can do Chrome also, right? So any of these two is good, right? So this is something which is already available into your systems, right? Definitely you need your systems, right? And this is something which is already available, right? Then we need an editor, right? And anything like Atom, Visual Studio code, any one of them is good. Okay, and then the list item, right? And then we would need to have WAMP server, right? So we need to have a WAMP server. Why do we need to have WAMP server? So probably every one of us knows this thing. If not, I am repeating it, that web application works on a client server model, right? So basically all these web applications, they are hosted on a server, right? And then in your browser, which is the client, you send a request to the server that, hey server, give me this web page, and server actually serves you with that page, right? So basically the deal is that all these web pages, they run on some kind of server, right? They run on some kind of server, right? So basically what can you do is that you can have a remote server somewhere in the cloud, and you do all this coding over there, and then you test like this. But this is definitely tedious. It sounds tedious, definitely. So it is definitely very tedious. So what happens is that we install a local server into our system, and we do all this development on the local server. And once we are done with that development, then we upload that project into the live server, right? So basically this WAMP provides us with a very good stable server. So I would love that you guys get this server, WAMP server, right? So who has WAMP server already installed into their systems? Raise hands. Okay, very good.
So
Nobody else?
I have XAMPP server. You're talking
Yeah,
about
XAMPP is equally good. WAMP is little bit better, right? WAMP is taken as little bit better, but XAMPP is also good, right? If you want to keep on working with XAMPP, I'm very happy with it. No problem. Anybody else? Yes, you have WAMP?
I have MAMP.
You have MAMP, right? So you work on Mac machine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So MAP is equivalent to WAMP on Mac machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think, do you think that I need to give you a little bit of understanding that how to install WAMP server, or you can quite get it by the next lecture, which is on Monday? So I think that you are going to get it, right? So I'm not going to install WAMP server with you guys. I think that you are intelligent enough to install WAMP server, right? If not, if it is giving you some trouble, just let me know, and I will definitely install WAMP server for you in the next lecture. Any questions so far? Okay, then we would like to have Node also installed into your system with npm Node and Node package manager. So maybe at some later stage, right? So at a later stage, right? So we need to have this. Okay, then we need to have Git installed into your system, right? So I would be using Git for the, and this through this, if you don't know Git, you would have this opportunity to learn Git also. In today's world of coding, there is no coding without Git, right? So basically I would be using Git a lot in this course, and as I would be using it, maybe I will give you a dedicated lecture also on Git, but if not, I would be using it so extensively that you will learn Git by that use also, right? So get Git globally, let me write get Git globally, right? And another list item, make a GitHub account. It's free, right? Everything I'm mentioning is free, right? So make a GitHub account. This is definitely very solid platform, right, for Git. So make a GitHub account. So just go to GitHub dot I don't know what, right? What is github.org, right? Whatever it is, right? And make a GitHub account over there. Okay. And maybe later on, I would ask you to install Composer. So this is also later. So guys, the deal is that we are not doing like primitive kind of coding over here, that we'll start from the declaration of variables and we are going to end that, hey, how to run a loop, right? We are not going to do it, right? So in this course, we mean serious business, right? We are actually going to learn that how to code, right? How to go and make a project, right? So definitely, you know, after in the middle of the course, I would think that you would be quite familiar with the front end, and later on, you know, the server end also. The only thing is that you keep on coding with me, right? So just this one requirement, you keep on coding. I can convert your summer into your, you know, great job experience. Okay, so but the only thing is that you must code with me. Okay, any question? Okay, so let's come over here, let's reload this back, and this is another list, you know, we have mentioned, right? Okay, the deal is that look, there are 135 different tags, 135 different tags, right? There are hundreds of thousands of attributes, right? There are 100,000 CSS properties. There are such a huge, you know, JavaScript stuff. There is such a huge JavaScript stuff. You cannot know all by heart. Always remember, whenever you need to do something, you need to know how to get it. Right? So this is one important skill you have to learn through this course, right? Everything is so vast that, for example, if I start teaching you, hey, since I'm teaching you HTML, I will teach you every HTML tag. There are 135 tags, right? So if we teach 10 tags every day, so it would be like 13 days teaching tags, right? And then you would not be knowing that, you know, how to use these tags, right? So this is not the best idea that to go this way. So the deal is that whenever you need to have, you need to know something, right? You need to know that how to search it, right? So let me have some important links for you over here, right? So for example, HTML W3 school, right? So maybe you are already familiar with it, but just, you know, I want to give you a few tips here and there, right? So that, okay, so this is an important link. You must know that how to explore this resource. So let me have H2 over here, important links. Right? And I'm teaching you HTML also as I'm giving you these things, right? So important links, right? So here, maybe I want to have a list, unordered list, right? And make a list item. And here I want to give a link, right? So this is a link. So if you want, I can give you this link like this also. Reload. And this link is written like this, but it is not clickable, right? But if you want, we can mention this link right like this also. So we can cut it from here. And instead of writing it like plain text over here, I can give an anchor tag. Anchor tag is for links, right? So I can give an anchor tag, and here I can say W3 school, right? And where we have this href, here I will give the link, right? Save it, right? And go back over there, reload it. Now it will show W3 school, right? And if I click it, it is going to give take me to W3 school, right? So this is the biggest idea of the web, right? But it is opening in the same tab, right? So if you don't want it to open in the same tab, you can come over here and give it an attribute. So we can have an attribute over here. We can say target right blank. So by giving target blank, it means that we want it to open into a new page, right? So save it, go back to the browser, reload it. Now, since it is target blank, right, if you click it, you can see that it is opening it into a new tab, right? So basically, this is the power of attributes. So attributes actually change the behavior of a tag, right? So they can change the behavior of a tag, right? So I have just given an attribute, so it has changed the behavior of the tag, right? Let me have a few more resources lined up for you over here. So I come over here, another list item and another anchor tag, right? And maybe MDN, right? Mozilla Developer Network, right? Let me find that network for you. So come over here. So let's see, MDN, right? So this is a very good resource, right? So don't hesitate to explore it. Right? Let me put over here and let me say target blank, right? And then what other resource you think that I should mention over here? Yes? Anybody else? Anybody?
Medium.com.
Medium.com, what is that? I have never been to that, I'm sorry.
It's same like W3 and developer Mozilla.
Okay, is it a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I will explore it and then I will put it in the list, right? But for now, I would say Stack Overflow. What do you think about Stack Overflow? I have found so many solutions to my problem at Stack Overflow, right? Haven't you? Well, what do you think, Anthony? Antonio, your name is Antonio?
It's Ankit, sir.
Ankit, sorry, I cannot read that small. Ankit. So Ankit, do you think that Stack Overflow is a good resource?
Yes, sir. We can find many solutions to our problems.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So Stack Overflow, right? So this is a good one. Right, many solutions. I have found so many solutions at this website. Right, so these are some important links you need to go always. And definitely, if we want, we can provide over here, for example, I can provide you GitHub link over here, but you know, I have already mentioned it, right? So you have also learned that how to put these anchor tags, right? Okay, anybody, any question? Any question? Okay, so these are all various resources you need to know. Okay. So what other resource you think could be good? You can have definitely with the help of YouTube, but we not mention YouTube here, right?
Tutorial Point is also a good website.
Which website?
Tutorial Point.
Tutorial Point. Okay, great. I have never been to this website. Is it like Udemy?
No, it's just like W3C W3 school.
Okay, okay. It is just like W3 school.
Yeah, to learn a new language, they have. Yeah.
Okay,
several
wonderful.
tabs.
Very great, right? So there are like tons of resources. The only thing is that you need to have willingness to learn, right? Otherwise, all the resources are available to you, right? Okay, so having done this thing, so let's, this is quite a bit of HTML, and I don't think that we should leave this lecture at HTML. Let's, do a little bit more. Let's start stepping into the CSS already, right? So before I step into CSS, let me just clarify one thing with you. And by the way, I'm going to make notes over here. File, new notebook, right? So I'm going to create a new notebook for you, and I'm going to share the link for this notebook, and you can see these notes online, right? So I'm going to share these notes with you, okay? So it is web programming summer 2020, right? So this is okay. It is asking to invite people. I have said that I will invite you later on. Okay, so the deal is that HTML is the basic skeleton, right? So we have HTML. So it provides the basic skeleton, right? Then comes CSS. So CSS is like, you can say, flesh and skin, right, on the skeleton, right? CSS is like flesh and skin. It beautifies this basic skeleton, right? So it is like flesh and skin. Then comes JavaScript. JavaScript, what is JavaScript to a website? With reference to a body, you can say skeleton. The skeleton has flesh and skin, right? Now JavaScript, yeah, please.
If we want to make the skeleton walk or do some action, then we can use JavaScript.
Very good, right? So basically JavaScript provides controls, right? So I would not say that, action is all provided by JavaScript. Because action is basically provided by CSS. Say, for example, you want to animate something on the screen, right? So basic action is provided by CSS. JavaScript controls this thing, that when to provide that action, when to start it, when to stop it.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
basically action, by itself is also provided by CSS, right? JavaScript provides control, right? JavaScript does what? Control, right? Okay, now the deal is, if I scroll it a little bit up, the deal is that we all know that we are working around the great internet. So this is the internet. So at one end of the internet, we have various servers, right? So we have like various servers installed all around us. And then this is the client. Maybe on a laptop, maybe on a desktop, maybe a wired net, or maybe, partially wired and then through Wi-Fi, right? Maybe something like that. So the deal is that we all want to connect to the server, right? So we send a request to a server. right? And as request goes to the server, server sends back the response. Right? Server sends back the response, right? So generally we work with a request response cycle. Sometimes we actually deviate from request response cycle. Sometimes server starts, send some pushes to us also, right? And it happens more often than, than you think, right? So, but basic structure is that we send a request to the server and server sends us the response back, right? So when we send a request to the server, say for example, an HTML file comes to us. That HTML file has a reference to this thing that, hey, if you want to see my full features, right? If you don't want to see my ugly skeleton, you want to see my actual skin, right? You need to ask the server to send you the CSS file, right? So server sends the client the CSS file, right? And then, if there's some action item or, some control item over there in the HTML document, it tells the client that, hey, if you want to have some controls working into your web page, you need to ask for these JavaScript files, right? Or this JavaScript file. So then client sends that request for those JavaScript files, and those files come from the server and received by the client, the browser, right? And then that page, starts working, right? Okay, this is about static page, right? A static page is a page that whenever you go and see that page, it will look the same all the time, right? It will look the same all the time, right? But, such pages are, you can see that we can have limited scope of such pages, right? These pages, once hosted, they cannot be changed by another user or not even by the administrator of the website. But if you want to have some change, you can call for the developer who will change those, make those changes and then upload those changes into the server, and then that static page will change for you. Otherwise, normally you cannot just change that page, right? On the other hand, there is a possibility that here at the server side, so this is our server. So at the server side, we have some dynamic language running, and that dynamic language could be PHP, it could be .NET, it could be Node.js, it could be Python. So there could be so many different languages running over here, any one of them. And this language actually interpreted that request, right, and see that what is this request about, and then it generates that page on the go and provides you that response according to that situation. So this is, where the dynamic pages start coming in, right? And this would be something we would be doing like after a couple of weeks into this course, right? But just wanted to give a little bit of overview that what are we going to study and how do these various technologies going to fit in all together. And once more, if we have this dynamic language over here, then right alongside this language, we have some database management system running here, which manages the making of the account, sign-in process, sign-up process, right? Maybe purchasing, maybe looking at the status of various things. So basically, this is also sitting at the server end, and this server-side language makes a connection with that database, and then your dynamic page is served. Any question? Right? So CSS basically provides the beautification of the page. How I'm going to run this course, let me further tell you about it. Say for example, this is the timeline of the course. So I will start from, so say HTML, this is HTML. So I will start from HTML, and HTML will stay, all the way, right? And then say this is CSS. So I will start CSS today, maybe little bit of it, and then it will peak, and then it will die like this, because we would be doing other things, right? And our JavaScript, let me show JavaScript. So say for example, this is JavaScript. I would say JavaScript will start somewhere here, and then it will stay throughout. And if I have server-side languages, server-side, I will see whether I will do PHP or and Node, right? So that would be over here, right? So maybe last 2 weeks would be mostly about server-side. So we have 5 weeks total, and we have like 1 hour 40 minutes lecture every day. And I'm planning to avail the entire lecture, right? So I'm not going to leave you after 1 hour or something like this, right? So we would be covering the entire, otherwise, there is no use of this thing that to have semester if you don't cover the entire semester course, right? So basically we would be doing, the full-fledged lecture and getting benefit out of this time, right? So this would be the way I would be going. Any questions so far? Okay, so having said this thing, so let me start, giving some, styling here and there. So for example, I can come over here. So we can style in various ways, right? So let me save it this first, and let me have a new file over here. So new file. How does CSS work? .html, right? So HTML basic skeleton. So I would be making this code. I would be sharing this code with you, and as I would be making this code, I would be making notes for you also, right? So in this way, you don't have to, if you want to take notes, up to you, but I would be covering highlights of the course in these codes also, right? So H1, let's have H1. So knowing CSS. Let me open this file for you. Not this one. Okay, so knowing CSS, right? So we come over here. So give a paragraph. So generally, CSS beautify a page, right? We can give CSS in various ways. So let's make an unordered list. List item. First is inline CSS. Then the second is internal CSS. Then the third is external CSS, right? So let's see that all these various CSS things work, right? So these are three things. For example, I want this paragraph to stand out, right? So I come over here in the paragraph and I say style is equal to, right? I say style is equal to, and I say background colon pink, right? So this is one CSS statement, right? This is one CSS statement, which is the property, then a colon, and then what is the value of that property, for example, pink, and then the semicolon, which is the end of the CSS statement, right? So save it. Let's go to this page, reload it, and you can see that its background is pink, right? So this is inline CSS. What is this? This is inline CSS, right? That we are giving this CSS inline, right? Right as an attribute within the line of the tag, right? So we are giving this CSS. For example, if we want to make another paragraph, inline CSS is the worst way to give CSS, but it has the highest priority, right? So let me tell you that why this is a bad idea. So now HTML code has started mixing up with the CSS code, right? One thing is, right? So the deal is that we love to do this thing that as we are making or writing the code, we want to keep the things separate. One scope is HTML, it should stay separate than the CSS, and CSS should stay separate of JavaScript. So this intermingling is not the best idea. The second thing is, for example, if I have to give style over here, this paragraph also, then I have to do this thing over here also. So this is against the dry principle, that don't repeat the code, right? So basically, if I have to give this thing, then I have to provide it separately, right? And moreover, if for example I want to change this pink to yellow, right? I want to change this pink to yellow. So wherever I have written this pink, I have to go over there and make those changes, right? So this code is not maintainable then, right? So once you have given it here and there, you have to control F them, maybe replace them, maybe you are going to miss them, right? Maybe you will change manually at one point and would not be able to change it at other points, right? So basically due to all these things, this is not the best idea to give inline style, right? So for example, I say background yellow, so it is background yellow over here. And if I come over here, now the background is yellow. Okay. The second way to give style is to provide it through internal CSS, right? What is the internal CSS? Right in the head, we give a tag with the name style, right? We give a tag, right, with the name style, right? And here we start targeting various things. For example, I can go to paragraph, for example, I can go to paragraph. I want to target paragraph, or you can say I want to select a paragraph, and I say that, hey, paragraph, I want you to have a background of pink, right? So paragraph, and then these braces within which we want to style it. I say, hey paragraph, we want to have your background, right? So always remember CSS property like background, then colon, and then, if you want to give space, it's better to give space and then value, right? So for example, I want to say background pink. Save it. Okay, let me give another. For example, I want to say font size, font size, and this is CSS style that generally all the separators are hyphens, dashes, right? CSS does not follow camel case. CSS does not follow underscore rule, right? CSS is mostly about dashes, right? So font size, maybe I say 32 pixel, 32 pixel, right? Save it, and let's go over there, reload it, and you can see this thing that font size 32 pixel got effective, but background pink is not effective. Why background pink is not effective, whereas this font size 32 pixel is effective? Why do you think?
Because of inline CSS, like inline CSS
Yes,
priority.
because of inline CSS is taking the priority, right? So inline CSS is saying, hey, your color is yellow, right? So whatsoever the internal CSS says, just forget about it. I am telling you that your color is yellow, so your color is yellow, right? So, but since inline CSS is not telling anything about the font size, so this paragraph or these paragraphs have taken the font size of 32 pixels. Are you quite getting me? Any question, guys? If you think that I'm going very fast, or I need to slow down, just let me know and ask questions. Otherwise, it is a good pace, I believe.
No, sir, it's good pace.
Okay, great. Okay, so if I remove this background color yellow from maybe the second paragraph, save it, right, and now reload it. Now you can see that this second paragraph has started following the inline CSS, right? So, it's not inline, internal CSS, right? So the deal is that inline CSS you give right within that tag with the style attribute, right? With the style attribute, you style it, right? And the internal CSS you give under this style tag, right? Okay. Okay, let me make another page, right? Let me make another page. So let me do this thing. Let me duplicate this page. And let me duplicate it. Duplicate. And let me name how does CSS work to.html, right? So this is the second file, right? Okay. And if I open this file over here, how does CSS work to, right? So you can see the same page, right? Say for example, I come over here and make some changes, right? Maybe I come over here and I say that the list I want to target list item. I say list item, and hey list item, your background is sky blue. Right? Your background is sky blue, right? Save it. So once I have saved it, I go over here, reload it, right? So now these list items have a background of sky blue, right? But let me go over there to the first page. Right? And here the background is not sky blue. Why is it so? Because I made changes in the second file and not in the first file. Right? In the second file, but not in the first file, right? So that's the reason that it's not here. Now the deal is that one thing is that now if, for example, and normally it happens that a website is not consisting on a single page, it has some multiple pages, right? And once a website is going to have multiple pages, and if you are writing CSS of each page on that very page, then you have to have the incident of that code at multiple times, right? So we have to give same or similar CSS in all these files, right? We have to give the same or similar CSS in all these files, right? So this is not the best idea. So the deal is that we go to my notes. Say, for example, we have various web pages. Say this is one web page. This is a first.html. This is another web page, second.html. This is another page, third.html, right? And we want to style them all, and since they are belonging to the same website, right? We are going to style them same, or we are going to style them similarly. So what can we do over here? That we can have a common CSS file over here, and that common CSS file would be included here, would be included here, would be included here, all in all these pages, right? And that single CSS file is going to style the entire website. Are you getting me? I think that this is a pretty obvious fact. You know, you must understand this thing, that we want, definitely we want to avoid the duplication of code, right? We don't want to give duplicate code, right? Definitely not. So basically what we do is that instead of giving inline CSS, which is the worst idea, right? Sometimes, you know, say for example, there is a firefighting situation. Sometimes it happens that, for example, your principal is sitting at the head and you're about to display a project, right? And suddenly it broke down. So then, you know, this is like gimmick, you can say, that you compare to give like, okay, today let's just for today, maybe let me give this little bit of inline styling, right? But not the best idea, rather the worst idea, right? But then I would say that definitely internal CSS is not either the best idea, right? So the best idea over here is that to have an external CSS. So make an external CSS file and there try to give the CSS, right? So for example, I come over here. Let me come over here and let me create a new folder so that all these files stays in the same folder, and let me name it CSS basics, right? CSS basics. And let me just drag and drop these files in this folder. Both of them are in this folder now, CSS basics, right? And let us refresh this page. It would be page not found because page is removed, right? And if I come over here, now we have this folder. Go to this folder, and now you can open this file, right? And let us convert this internal CSS into external CSS, right? So how can we convert this internal CSS to external CSS? So we come over here, right in that folder, right click, maybe create a new file, and let's name it master.css, right? So normally this is the name we give, master.css, right? And in master.css, let me do this thing. Let me just remove this entire code. Let me do this thing. Or maybe delete this entirely. Save it. And let me keep it over here for the time being, right? Just for a moment. Copy it. right? And where is my CSS? Yeah, here it is, and paste it over here, right? So background pink, font size 32 pixel, right? So this is humble CSS placed over here, right? And this, by the way, this, what is this title? So I can say knowing CSS, right? So let's see how does it shows up. How does it show up, right? So we come over here, for example, and right now you don't see, you just see generic things over here in this tab right over here. If I reload, I think that that was done on number 2. Right now you can see that knowing CSS is written over here. So this is not only important over here because it gives a proper name to the tab, but also because Google page ranking system also evaluate this thing, that have you given a title. So if you don't give a title, Google actually thinks that this is not a good website, and this gives a severe discount to it, right? So basically always don't forget to put title into your web pages, right? Okay, anyways, so the deal is that here, this simple CSS yellow line is showing, but rest of the CSS is not showing, right? So why is it show? Why is it so? If we go to this page and see it, let me do one thing. Split left. Okay. Close it from here. So which page is this? This is okay, how does CSS work too, right? And this page is showing over there, but there is no external CSS over there because you can see that font size is reduced, right? And the colors are not doing well, right? Why is it so? Because we have made this separate CSS file, but we have not linked that CSS file with this particular HTML code, right? So we have to do this thing, and we need to do this thing at within the header, right? So we come at the head and we give a link tag, right? So link, and we want to have this style sheet. And what is the name of the style sheet? Master.css, and it is sitting in this very folder, right? The deal is that it's definitely a better practice that you put this CSS file into a separate folder, and then you put it over there. But for the time being, since this is our first project, so we are giving it in a separate file which is sitting in the same folder. So we say that, hey, you better link with this particular CSS, right? Okay, having done this thing, if we reload this, right now you can see that this particular CSS is getting effective, right? Have you got it? Any question? So let me go to the other web page. Right? Okay, let me go to the other web page, right? And here it is taking the style from inline CSS and from the internal CSS, right? We have internal CSS over there. Let me show you this thing. For example, I come over there in that particular web page. Let me close them from here. So let me open it over here. Not this one. So it is taking a style from the internal CSS, right? So maybe let me make it blue, just to show you that it is taking it from the internal CSS. So reload it, you can see that it has turned blue. Now let me show you a phenomena here. let me give that external CSS also. So link and link it with this master.css, right? Save it, right? And let's go and reload the page. And this is a very important concept you're going to make. Color has turned pink, but don't make any opinion yet. Let me show you one more thing. Let me cut this link from here, cut, and let me paste it over here, save it, right? And let me now go over there and reload it. Now it has turned blue. So what do you think? Is it this internal CSS? Look, inline CSS gets the most priority, no question about it, right? Inline CSS gets the most priority, right? But question here is that is it the internal CSS or external CSS, which one is more prior? Which gets the more priority? Anybody?
Priority.
Hmm?
It both has the same priority. If we
Very good.
return
Both has the same priority,
yeah,
then
inline,
no. Inline is the gets the most priority, right? Definitely.
yeah,
But
internal and external
internal
CSS.
and external both have the same priority. But why is it blue here and then it was pink before that?
But we write the include link before the internal
Yeah,
CSS.
very good. So the deal is that CSS is like a constitution, you can say. So we start from first line, right? And first line says that hey, your color is pink, and then second line says your color is blue. So color will become blue, right? So basically, those CSS instructions which are sitting towards the bottom, they will get more priority over those instructions which are written at the top, right? So always remember this thing, that in CSS, order definitely matters in this sense, and this is very important, that those instructions would be valid, or they would be applied, which are towards the bottom of the instruction set. Any question about it? Got it? So this was very important thing I wanted to mention to you. Okay, so let's style a few things more. So let's go to the external CSS. So open this file, right? Say for example, we want to style H1. Normally we give H1 above P. Not a rule, just it is easy to search then. Okay, so for example, for H1 we say text align center, right? Hey, you H1, your text line should be center, right? If we reload it, its text line is center, right? And if I reload the other page also here, and here you can see also that it has text align center, right? So now right now we are opening these pages separately. We can do one more thing, that we can actually provide one page link on the other, right? So that we can switch between pages, right? So for example, we can come over here right at the top, and we can make a tab which is the navigation tab, right? We are going to develop this navigation bar quite a bit, right? So this is very primitive right now. So for example, which page is this? Is page 2. So for example, here we gave an anchor tag, and we href. What is the name of the other page? How does CSS work, right? So how does CSS work dot HTML, right? And maybe we can call it page 1, right? Save it. Let's copy this thing over here, copy, right? And maybe paste it over here, paste, right? And maybe here we say this page 2, and this is our page 2, right? So save it. Now these two pages are interlinked, right? Definitely we are going to build a website, and we are not going to have standalone pages, right? We are going to have linked up pages. So here we have this link, right? And we have page 1, we have page 2, right? So let me have some headings also different. So instead of knowing CSS only, we can have knowing CSS. This is, which file is this? This is page 1, right? And the other one is page 2, right? Knowing CSS, this is page 2, right? Save it, go back, reload. So this is CSS, knowing CSS page 1, and this is the link to page 2. If we click this link, so knowing CSS page 2 is here, right? So basically, this is the genesis or beginning of connecting various web pages. Definitely, this is very humble thing, but we are going to do it quite a lot, right? Let's decorate these anchor tags a little bit also. So for example, I can come over here in the CSS and we can say that anchor tag, we want to style anchor tag, right? And say, for example, we want to say that, hey, your text decoration is none, right? Your text decoration, we don't want underline over there, right? And your text decoration is none, and your font style is maybe font weight, less weight, right? Font weight, and your font weight is maybe bold, right? And so these anchor tags are now styled, right? And let's go over there and see that is it working, right? So we can say anchor tag that, hey, your text decoration is none, means that this underline is no more here, right? And we can go over here, right? And it has a bolder face, right? Getting me, guys? Okay, let's have a few anchor tags, more anchor tags over here, right? So for example, we come over here and let's make a few more anchor tags. Maybe we can copy them from somewhere, maybe from first.html. We had some anchor tags, so maybe copy this entirely. Copy, paste, save it, right? And reload, right? So it has the important tags, right? And these anchor tags have taken the same style also. Can you see this thing? Right? These anchor tags have taken the same style as this anchor tag, right? So, but if you don't want them to take the same style as these anchor tags over here, right? This one, this anchor tag over here, what can you do? You can specify something. Say for example, I say, hey, all of you must wear a white hat. So every one of you will wear a white hat, right? But I say, hey, those people whose name are starting with A, or those people whose name are starting with capital M, right? M is in man, right? They must wear the black hat, right? So the deal is that rest of the people would be wearing white hat, whereas Menthan, what hat you would be wearing? Menthan, and Menthan, you have to unmute yourself to talk to me.
Yes, sir.
So say for example, I tell you, so CSS is like this. I say, hey, all you students, you must wear the white hat. And then I issue the command, hey, you students whose name starting with M must wear black hat.
For
Right?
that, we can give that tag a class and using that class.
Yeah. Definitely we'll be talking about classes, but for now, let's forget about class, right, Naresh? And let's talk about little bit about this thing, which I'm just, I'm not even talking about CSS. I'm sorry. I'm talking about this thing, that this simple instructions, daily life instructions. Say, for example, I say, hey, everybody must wear white hat. And then I issue this command, hey, those people whose names start with M must wear a black hat. So my question is that what hat color Ankit would be wearing?
It's black.
You would be wearing a black hat?
Yeah.
Once again, I say all the students must wear white hat. Right? All the students must wear white hat. Then I say those students whose names starting with M must wear black hat. So question is that what hat color you would be wearing?
It's white.
White hat, right? So
Yes.
whereas Manthan and Muralidhar, what hat color you guys would be wearing?
Black.
You would be wearing black hat, right? So same is CSS, right? In CSS, we give instructions like this. Say, for example, I come over here, I say that, hey, you anchor tags, all the anchor tags must have text decoration none. But no. I don't want to issue this command to all anchor tags. I want to issue this command to only those anchor tags which are sitting within nav. Right? I want to decorate only those anchor tags which are sitting where? Which are sitting within nav, right? So I'm still decorating anchor tag, which is the rightmost, but not any anchor tag, but just that anchor tag which is sitting within what tag? Nav tag, right? And I want them to obey these commands, right? So let's see now what happens. So I come over here, I reload it. You can see that style is still applied to this tag because this anchor tag is sitting within the nav tag, but this style is no longer being applied to the tags. Right, guys? Any questions?
Yes, sir. No.
Okay, so in this today's lecture, we made this start that we have covered quite a bit of HTML, right? And then we started with CSS, and we have started exploring the fundamental concepts of CSS, right? We covered like what is inline CSS, what is internal CSS, what is external CSS, and now we have started touching this thing that how can we select various items on the page. Right? And by the way, these things over here, whether this is single tag name, right? Like H1, for example, or P, or whether they are complicated or they are further complex, as we learn later on, these are in CSS language, they are known as selectors. These are known as what? These are known as selectors, right? Why do we call them selectors? Because with the help of these, we select various HTML tags. Any questions so far? Okay, if there is no question for today, I will stop here and I'll see you all in the next lecture. And if you want to have me for office hours, you can stay in this meeting and we'll have those office hours. Otherwise, you can simply drop. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you all on Monday, right? And stay safe. Goodbye.